All right.
Yeah.
Give me some sound waves. What are we doing here?
Sound waves. So yeah, topics of the day. Bees fly straight no matter what kind of crosswinds. That was crazy. I've heard this before too. Beetles aren't
looking into that.
able to fly, and scientists weren't able to figure that out for a while. And then I saw this study from another podcast about this study in the 40s about rats and possibly where the term hood rat came from, or at least maybe the term projects probably came from. It was great, dude. And again, off of the movie They Cloned Tyrone. So basically you can social engineer people. So again, the projects and how it's built kind of relays off with this guy's study with rats. He took 100 rats, 200 rats or whatever, split them up in different groups.
Okay.
First group was in clean environment, lots of space, lots of food, et cetera, et cetera. Second group, very closed. They were like on top of each other, barely any food. They didn't clean the cage, and they observed them for 4 months at a time. And their behavior was just astonishing between all the shit that started happening in the bad cages.
What was the behavior? Like, were they starting to eat each other kind of a thing?
I think that might have come around about 6 months.
Yeah.
But they talked about, I think it might have been like bullying, raping, just all kinds of shit that happens like mirroring our society. And the podcast was going off of how it could be almost a defense mechanism, because again, you get put in your environment, your behavior changes.
Yeah.
And then again, the scientists took the same rats from Group A and Group B and switched them, and their behavior changed.
So Group B started to behave more civilized, and Group A
started to go down the same shit fucking path as Group B did in a crappy environment. And the same thing happened with their children. Learned behaviors, and a lot of it had to do with just the environment. What's interesting though, and I don't want to take too much away from the other podcast, but they talked about how with that movie, and then thinking about how the government program of these projects came out around the same time, and you kind of think about how it's structured, it's almost the same fucking way as Cage B. I mean, you take away people's, certain environmental comforts, I mean, it's going to just turn ugly as fuck.
just deteriorates. Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at the projects and all that.
Yeah, so
versus you look at a sprawling urban area. Oh, it's really easy in any city. You just go to the poor zip codes, and then you go to the more affluent zip codes, and you say, "What's the difference here? Opportunity, space, environment." Yeah. Because again, too, there's no need to take from your neighbor if you have enough. If you've grown up with abundance and that feeling that you don't need, that you have to struggle for it. So what you're saying is basically it's a mindset shift.
Environment?
Like if something is scarce and you grow up in an environment of scarcity, you're going to have that,
survivor mentality.
Survival of the fittest kind of mentality. Whereas if you have what do they call that? The abundance mentality. You just think that everything, the universe will provide to you, and you've got that secret style of thinking going on, and next thing you know, you've manifested your own F-150, whatever it is, kind of a thing, right?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, they were able to articulate it in a much better fashion, but I mean, I just thought I took away. And again, when the guys chimed in, he's like, is that maybe where the term hood rat came from?
Maybe.
It was like projects, and you're like, ooh, wow.
Have you heard the term rat king? I think this kind of ties in, but not really.
Yeah, about how you can take a rat and throw it in, and they eat
you
each other
starve
rats.
a whole bunch of rats, right? Yeah. You take 20 rats, you starve them. Inevitably, they will all eat themselves, and there will be one left over. And then you take that one and you put it in with another batch of 20. It does the same thing. If it survives, then you let it go in the city. Now you have a rat with a taste of rats, hunting other rats. That's what they did to get out of the medieval era Black Plague, I want to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I can't remember the term for it, but there's like this rat knotting thing that happens, and scientists have no idea how that happens. You seen that?
Rat knotting?
So a bunch of rats end up dying because they get all their tails knotted together somehow.
Really?
It's like a bunch of rat corpses all just together, and like, yeah. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. And there's been a few examples about it, and I can't remember the term for it, but...
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
What was that movie, though? Tying back to the projects thing.
They Cloned Tyrone.
Okay. They Cloned Tyrone, I've never seen it.
He finds out that basically government is poisoning, supplying the drugs, and cloning him. I don't remember the whole aspect of the movie, but they use it with the project being, instead of cloning people, they're just cloning your mind. They're literally owning your mindset, like controlling the entire behavior of everybody isn't based upon the environment, being in cage B. And I'm like, wow.
Well, there's been multiple studies out there, and not to go woo-woo, but I mean, we kind of do woo-woo on this podcast a lot, where the CIA has done all kinds of studies with the mind cloning and the how to control a population. And about the time that all of this was going down was the time that screens really started to come out. You got your personal televisions, and then that evolved into little devices that you carry around all the time, you know. So to say that it's not an actual thing going on in today's society is an understatement. What's that old saying? Art imitates life, or life imitates art?
Both. Chicken and the egg and the chicken, yeah. Both. So maybe they mentioned it, maybe it was another one, because shit bleeds together with so much social media crap. But I think they did talk about how screens and everything, they're like, if you think about it from an outside perspective, it looks like we're a fucking zombie. You're just like,
oh yeah, it's the dopamine release too. Legitimately just microdosing dopamine to your brain.
We're in such control.
There's no I heard a quote the other day that it kind of goes along the lines, the way that you have the ability to control a population is to basically make them dumb and, what was the other thing? Satisfied, something about that? Like making food easily available, making them docile and dumb. That's what it is. It makes it easier to control a population. And that to me just baffles me, because you look around at everyday society and you've got people standing in line. I don't know how many kids that I've almost ran over in the shopping carts because their parents are just like, here, child, take the game and don't bother me while I'm shopping, you know?
Wander beside me as I'm looking at my phone at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm guilty of the same thing. I give my child a screen so that way I could peacefully get the shopping done, whatever the case. Like, I'm no saint myself.
Not to sound mean, but I was thinking about this the other day. Again, it's a fine line between discipline and abuse. You know, it can be. And again, too, absolutely, you can be approached between, again, that's depending on someone's opinion. But I think as a child myself, and knowing the capability of an adult to steer you in a certain direction, I think that we've lost that ability as a society now to be able to correct the behavior of children without major repercussions, because it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
In the society we have nowadays, I believe that it is too much personal, social, and mental stress to put on even just two people. That's why you had that built-in parents lineage where, again, the elders maybe watch the children, you know,
absolutely,
while everyone hunted, kind of shit, like everyone learned from everyone. And
well, even in hunter-gatherer cultures, who are the hunters?
The young men.
The young men, the spry men. Mm-hmm. Who were the gatherers? Everybody else. Everybody else was a gatherer. So that means you got your little kid out there, your mom out there, grandma out there, maybe grandpa's out there collecting berries, or, you know, protecting the women and children folk, whatever the case may be. I wasn't there. I'm just
right, and instills that discipline or that sense of ownership of the children from being younger. Now, you know, we don't really have any, not say safe jobs, but again, like teaching your kids going out and hunting and fishing or gathering. That's very basic, you know, mild.
Those are hobbies now.
Yeah, exactly. Those are hobbies instead of everyday activities.
Yeah. In a hunter-gatherer culture, in order to be a successful hunter and gathering community, they're anticipating, or like they're saying that the minimum amount of time needed to have a thriving, successful community was about an hour or 2 hours every single day to be a good hunter or gatherer community.
Wait, that's it?
That's it. And here we are all fucked up working 70, 40, 80, 50, 30 hours out of the week just to be able to pay a mortgage.
You know, I wondered that when you have like the clan, the tribe, the group, like really, because I've always come up with the idea that we've had that oh, they had to get up at dawn and, you know, all this hard labor and, you know, just like lived such a shitty, terrible life. But honestly, if you think about it, I mean, you're prepared, especially generationally, with knowledge and
yeah, you've got a tribe of 150 people. Yeah, you ever heard the term "many hands make light work"? Yeah. There you go. You got a farm. What do you got? 20, 30 hands on the farm. Everybody kicks in. Next thing you know, you start inventing shit.
Where specialties come in from, yeah.
Yeah.
Why,
absolutely.
Man? We need to go back to such an agrarian lifestyle. We have such crap nowadays. You know that? You know, anyone listening on, think about that. Just think about that, man. You know, yeah, we have running water and electricity, and you know that's cool. But take that aside, goddammit. Do you own anything?
You know what?
Own anything right now? Do you have any land? Do you have a home? Do you have something to pass on to your children? Do you have something that was passed on to you?
And I'm sure many people out there are going, yeah, I do have that. But in all reality, those who are coming up from, like, I want to say the impoverished class to the maybe lower middle class are probably right dead on with that. Like, no, you don't. Because it's been engineered through economics. Economics is the greatest weapon of our time.
Well, even with property, like nowadays, like our property, we don't even own what, blah, 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 X feet underneath it. If we found mineral deposit or something, like,
yeah,
couldn't the government come in and be like, oh, that's ours, actually?
Yep.
Isn't that some bullshit?
Yep.
The fuck?
Well, it's all temporary. Think about it.
I own this circus.
If we don't pay the taxes on that property, you know what happens?
They take it.
Yeah, we don't own it. It's gone. It's so gone. But I think there's an awakening and a mindset shift happening because there's a movement right now between the younger generations, let's say millennials and younger, who have gone through COVID, who have gone through 9/11, who have gone through, you know, the 20-year war in Afghanistan. That they're waking up and realizing that, yes, okay, socialism, I'm going to come out and say socialism might not be a bad thing, because if I grow chickens and I could trade my eggs to you for some bacon, there you go, we can have breakfast together, you know?
There's a lot of isms. I think we need to take all the best of all the isms and put them together, and people need not be fucks, and someone needs to be held accountable if they are a fuck. I'm serious. If you were the asshole in charge and you get caught and fucking, like again, like let's use Russia or wherever they had all the communism and stuff before, like it would have worked out great if the people who were actually in charge of delving out the rations weren't pieces of shit. Like,
yeah, the proletariat ends up taking all the good shit for themselves and everyone else doesn't get their quote-unquote fair share.
Yeah.
That's that human greed nature kind of a thing. But that is something that's going to be generationally taught.
Right? I mean, exactly. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, well, again, like, I love rich. I love someone being able to be rich. I love the idea. But I think it should be capped somewhere. I don't think someone or group of people, and again, too, you should be able to hardly investigate this shit. No one needs to be able to hoard that much resources. It'd be like us all being cavemen back in the day and everyone living off roots and nuts while that motherfucker gets to eat a gazelle. Like, what?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, all of you helped me hunt the gazelle. I provided the spear tips for the gazelle hunting, and in the end, you get berries, and all the gazelle was mine. What? That guy would have died.
You get no protein. I get all the protein just because I need protein. Well, yeah, everybody
seriously.
needs protein.
What the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's cool if you have the biggest and best piece. I get that. Fine. Something, you know, there's going to be some division somewhere. You may be the leader or the best hunter or whatever the fuck, something, but
yeah.
Goddamn.
There's a book series out there that I absolutely love. By S.M. Sterling, came out in 2004 as I look at it right now. It's called the Emberverse series. So the premise for this is all of humanity is just kicked back to the Stone Age because no combustion engines work. So your firearms don't work, combustion engines don't work, steam engines don't even work. I highly recommend it. By S.M. Sterling. The first book is called Dies the Fire. It's awesome.
Was this turned into a movie? Because I saw a movie called The City of Ember.
I don't know.
They were like, not in a cave necessarily, but they went underground and...
No, this isn't underground. So the book series that I read, there was 3 of them, and they all go back basically to the Middle Ages after... this white flash goes through the sky, all the technology gets knocked out.
People.
And then they start developing societies based off of trade. Okay. And there's one society that has like the Scottish clan mentality. There's another society that does they kind of do the fiefdom thing, And then there's the Portland Protective Associates, which is just straight up, this dude was a history teacher, this antagonist is a history teacher, and he's like, everything's going to be militant, and this guy gets together like the gang bosses, the gangs. He gets like the leader of the Crips, the Bloods, the Hells Angels. He gets those guys to be like, you know what? There's two people in this world. There are the farmers, and then there are those who rule the farmers. Which one do you want to be? And that was his whole mindset and mentality. And it's very much good versus evil. So obviously, it's called Clan Mackenzie, and the other one is the Bears, something like that.
Is this the one where you told me about
where they're from the SCA?
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know this. So those two groups, they come together, they put their SCA kit on, and they fight the Portland Protectorate, and the little guy overcomes the big guy, and rah-rah-ree. I forgot where I was going with that, but it very much does investigate the structure of the societies on the clans level, not necessarily the cities and states and countries level. You know what I mean? There's a part in the book actually where one of the main antagonists, Mike Havel, he won't let his people reuse the Stars and Stripes as their symbol to make the United States survive and stuff, even though he is a former Marine himself.
That shit's dead. There's no
United,
it's gone.
Yeah, he lets that go, and it's a really interesting series that looks into the human nature of surviving and thriving and all that stuff. Talking about isms and stuff. So.
Very true. Back in, I want to say when cultures were coming up, someone realized, hey, we could just sit here and keep hunting and gathering and farm ourselves, or see those guys over there? They're a lot smaller than us. Mm-hmm. We can just go take their shit. And then just kept doing it, yeah.
Yeah, well, S.M. Stirling does a really good job at looking at history of human evolution and mimicking that in this change that happens throughout their societies. And it's really fascinating read if you're into dystopians.
Oh, yeah.
And into the world kind of stuff. That's one of the book series I've enjoyed. So, I was thinking, this is just going to be a random hard segue. I was thinking about starting off our podcast with just the weirdest shit that I can think of or come up with. I took a nap the other day and I woke up laughing because I was like, what if we just hit 5 different headline bullet points that were just all bullshit? Like the one that woke me up laughing. You ever have that? You ever have a dream where you just wake up laughing?
I wake up angry sometimes, yeah.
You wake up angry sometimes?
Oh, yeah, I've woken up angry.
I woke myself up laughing so many times. And yesterday I was like, the UFC fighters that have lost their bouts all came together and started pressing charges against the Conor McGregors of the world who keep beating their asses. It just it threw me for a loop, man. I thought it would be awesome to just be like, all right, 5 random ass headlines with no basis whatsoever. We'll just make up our own fake news and we'll call it the top 5 weird stuff. Then I looked into the News of the Weird. Have you read that? News of the Weird is awesome because it's real weird shit that has gone on that nobody even cares about.
Okay.
That's fun. That's fun too. That's been around since 1988.
Awesome. See, we could pivot from that.
Yeah, like that whole bees levitating. What was that thing?
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we're going on that. I was going to make sure. But so this gentleman was studying, and I have the TikTok, YouTube clip or whatever, and he was talking about how they were watching 30 bees or something, and the exactness of they followed them in this crosswind. I think it was 30 miles an hour. There we go. Crosswinds of 30 miles an hour. And these bees were able to travel in straight lines. And their only way this would be possible is if the wind didn't affect them at all. And again, too, they go off of how a bee's wing structure is not physically possible with our understanding to be able to carry them.
Yes.
Think about their little ass
defies
fucking
physics for them to be able to fly.
Yeah.
So, I know you were talking to me about this yesterday, and I went and I was like, what about that? And I Googled it, right? And I came across this USA Today fact check.
Uh-huh.
And it says, claim the bees don't fly, but they levitate through acoustic levitation.
There we go.
Is that what you're talking about?
Something like that.
Yeah, the bees affect the ecosystem through pollination, but some social media users are claiming one type of bee, the bumblebee, has a unique ability, levitation. And I quote, when they beat their wings very fast, they build up energy inside a hollow cavity near their larynx, which it reaches 7.83 hertz, matching the Earth's magnetic frequency, and they are able to levitate. Reads part of the August 14th Facebook post that was shared more than 150 times in 2 days. Like, to me, that's not very viral. That's not very viral at all, but that's the basis of it. And this article goes along to say that, no, it doesn't do that. Well, that USA Today article, if y'all want to read it, I just quoted it.
Well, there's some scientists talking about the exact same stuff about the hertz and the hollow cavity inside there and everything. And the thing on being viral, I watched some of this stuff debunking a lot of that shit. They showed rooms of famous people who've got like cell phones and shit just set up everywhere. This huge, like rows and rows of fucking cell phones and shit, so people can make shit go viral.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
they just share it with
so
each...
fake bullshit, yeah. So there's so much so again, too, a lot of it is you do the same thing. No matter what the content is, it seems more credible or more worthwhile looking at if 100,000 people have liked it or whatever versus the news.
That would make me go, wow. But 150 times, as this article states, it just doesn't make me go, wow. It was shared 150 times in 2 days. And?
So again, right there, we are conditioned at a certain level to think what is important and what's not based upon everybody else. Who's to say you're just the very beginning of it? Yeah, 2 days, sure, but how long does it take stuff to go viral, really? Depending on what it is.
Exactly. It could go viral in a day and just be hot, like Piano Cat back when everybody was like, oh my God, this is a meme and it's viral. And everybody was like, what's a viral meme? Yeah. Isn't that a disease or an idea? Well,
There's a cream for that?
Huh? Is there a cure for that?
Cream. Like a cream, you know.
A cream for that, huh?
Yeah, but anyway, back to the levitating fucking bees. Let's not take the spotlight off, but lots of cultures worship the bee. Lots of cultures worship beetles. Again, same thing with beetles. A lot of them can't, as far as physics goes, be able to lift their massive ass bodies off the ground like that.
Physics as we understand it, though.
It's like fucking coloring compared to fucking art. I know it's.
Do we have to have Einstein go and study a bee for 10 years in order to go, bees fly, neat?
Well, something else interesting I just learned. Einstein was proven wrong. I can't remember what it was, but some scientist proved something he said was wrong.
Go on.
I can't remember, and I don't want to butcher that, but again, so he is one of our smartest people, and he still wasn't right all the time.
No, he wasn't, and I love one of his quotes because they came out to prove the theory of relativity being incorrect.
That's what. Okay, there we go. And the same thing.
There was 150 people who published the article after he published it himself, and his quote was, "Well, if I was wrong, why did it take 150 people to prove me wrong and not just one?" I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. We're going kind of weird fucking.
The smart. I think what it boils down to is our understanding of physics, and I think Einstein might have even said some of this. I'm not perfectly quoting, but we don't understand everything. There are certain variables that play into the universe that we have no idea about. I think they might have even put some whatever abbreviations as unknown variable. Like they literally calculated this is just an unknown variable, and we moved on, kind of whatever.
Yeah, like, that's weird.
Yep, because they
you move on.
Fully understand everything. So I think same thing with geology. Our understanding is very basic of real geology.
Oh, you really want to go down that rabbit hole? Just our understanding of electricity is just so convoluted. God. Like there's 3 different theories out there, and everybody goes, "Yeah, could be legit," you know.
Have you seen the giant tree theory? I've always wondered that. Actually, does it look like it? And I've seen a lot more about this. Haven't you seen those mountains, especially like the 3 in Arizona, or is it Yuma or whatever? Those 3 peaks that are sitting in the middle of nowhere that fucking look like petrified tree stumps, but just on a massive scale?
No.
Really?
No, I'll look it up, but...
Yeah, there's a common, was it Arizona, Yuma or Sedona or whatever? We've got these 3 peaks or mountains. They're all flat. They look like pieces of wood if you think about it. Yeah, look that shit up. And again, the Thread article had to talk about how when wood petrifies, it creates a hexagonal pattern, which all this shit shows, these stones, these mountains and shit. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Well, that's why they say that math is the universal language.
Yep. You use tree rings, and they show you exactly the way that this rock was formed, and I'm like, wow. So there's a lot of stuff, again, too. Petrified wood turns into rock, right?
Whoa. Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Well, okay.
I know I can't pull up the image for...
Yeah, boom, right there. Thank you. Yeah, look at that.
I can't pull up
fucking
the
shit.
image
Does that
for
look like a piece of a fucking
listeners.
tree stump? But it's a giant fucking mountain, isn't it?
It does look like tree rings. Fact check by Snopes. Ooh, let's look. Snopes is reliable, right?
I don't know.
Let's go there.
Yeah, some of that. So there's just a lot of mountains that you see that, if you really think about it, this may be pareidolia, but, you know, it does look like tree stumps.
Photograph shows the remains of an ancient tree trunk measuring more than 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers wide. It's miscaptioned. In July 2017, an image made its way across social media purporting to be an ancient purified trunk of what was once a huge atavistic tree. This photograph is one of many purportedly showing a giant ancient tree trunks. However, there's more to the story than simply the marvel of how big trees supposedly once were. According to some flat earth conspiracy theorists, here we go, let's open up that can of worms.
I don't know that far, but okay.
A school of thought is inexplicably becoming popular again. Images such as these serve as evidence that the earth was once populated by massive trees and that our current forests are merely the leftover shrubs. I'm going to stop there.
Okay, regardless of all the scientific or the debunking of the science, whatever, just using my own, I'm serious.
Well, if you look up the image, it's got tree rings, it's in a circular shape. I wasn't alive 350 million years ago when the carbon monoxide levels were through the roof and plants were actually thriving on this planet. It's very plausible that they were that big.
Arizona.
Here we go.
Bingo, right here. Look at this. From the aerial view, this shit does not look like trees.
It could very well be. But I wasn't alive back then. It looks like a bunch of mountains to me now.
Fuck yeah. What is petrified wood? Rocks? Isn't that what happens? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Who's to know what happens to organic material after tens of billions of years or hundreds of thousands of years?
Yeah, who knows?
And what's cool with all of those, though, is it interesting how flat they are, like they were cut, though?
That does, when I look at that does kind of weird me out. You ever see the flat of a mountain? It's like, was that made? Was that manufactured?
Yeah.
Somehow,
That's what a mountain's supposed to look like. Look at that. That's what a mountain looks like. When you have a mountain that's like, shh.
That's flat.
I don't really know a lot of surfaces in nature that are flat consistently like that. Sure, you have some flat-ish areas, but flat is not something nature usually likes to go with, right?
That's what that was. That was a dinosaur stool. It sat there and ate Cocoa Puffs and read the morning newspaper.
Okay, we'll check. Okay, we've talked about the Sumerian images of like the guy holding the lion and stuff before, right? I've seen this before.
No, we haven't. Not on the pod, but
okay, yeah. There's all those images they have of the Sumerians holding fucking giant lions. Hello. And they're like 3-4 times the size of them, and they're house cats and shit. And there's another image, I forget where it is, but there's this guy holding like big old pole, and on the two ends are elephants. And they're like this big compared to him. Like, you've seen that one,
the
right?
mythos of the giants and what have you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here's my theory. They're not giants. We're the fucking midgets. We're the little people. I'm serious. We're the freaking sprites.
The hobbits have taken over the world. David versus Goliath, that old story, maybe from a popular novel.
Well, all I'm saying is, again, we put it from our point of view that they were the big people. Well, what if we were the little people?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what if we killed all of them and all of a sudden now they're a legend, but yet...
Some kind of revolt came on, like, you can't push us around anymore, we're just going to kill you.
I think there were tons of different humanoid types, tons. I think honestly, it's so asinine for people not to believe that there were larger humans. I think that was the easiest thing to happen. That is the most easiest evolutionary thing to have happened. There were bigger humans.
There's evidence of it now. Have you ever heard of this guy called Andre the Giant?
Exactly. Yeah, we get all freaked out when someone's 7-8 feet tall. They're a giant. I'm like, nah, really?
Yeah.
Again, I hear, there's all these ancient, they found the bones of giants that were 6.5 feet tall. I'm like, those aren't giants. Of course, I guess when you were 5'2" when you found the bones.
Oh man, but 7 foot people aren't uncommon these days. 8-foot person, that would be a interesting endeavor.
Yeah, so 20, 60, again, it's just different types. So imagine if we were the ants. And we just, whatever the ones that survived for some reason, and now that's the legend.
Evolutionary bias.
I think absolutely.
Because of our elevated prefrontal cortex, we're able to eliminate the giant species and the dinosaurs.
Actually,
and just take over this planet.
Dinosaurs, yeah. I see so many. I laughed, and again, to the idea, and again, not to be religiously hurtful or anything, but when someone first said, Jesus was riding a dinosaur, that's kind of laughable, right? Ha ha ha.
That's a funny joke, yeah, sure.
But when you start looking into the actual evidence that, large reptilian creatures from ancient times were around longer than we thought, it becomes a plausible, notion.
Yeah. Yeah, but these are the same people that still think that Jesus was a rich white person from middle America. You know what I'm saying?
Buddy Jesus, yeah.
Buddy Jesus.
Oh, religion. That's awesome.
So, to think that Jesus was anything other than an Arabic person or a person from the Middle East, whatever the actual respectful PC term is these days, I want to insert that there.
Again, if we here's with all of that. I have no proof of where anyone grew up from, and anyone's proof that they do have is so easily. Let's just take the Bible. It's just like being like, it's just like, let me give you an example of all religious texts. It's like, this is Jesus' birthday. We know that. No, we know that not to be true because it went past the hands of so many fucking people we don't actually know when this motherfucker's birthday.
And then there was the conversion by the sword, and they tried to convert the pagans, so they have adopted the pagan religions to make sure that conversion to Christianity was a little bit easier. Blah 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 blah.
So it's like saying you only love tomatoes, you only eat tomatoes, but yet you look down and you're eating a fucking salad. Yeah, it has tomatoes in it. It has tomatoes in it. I'll give you that, tomato flavored, but that's not all you're eating.
Yeah, so true, so true. Oh, we could open up a can of worms here. Like, wake up! Did you want to be offended? This is the pod. This is now. Like, if you're easily offended, just hang it up. And walk away.
No. We're going for the Tate formula.
Oh God.
40% haters, 60% fans. You need some sort of controversy. You need to get out there. You need to have, that wow factor.
The dumpster fire theory. Yes, I could get hurt by watching this dumpster fire, but I can't not watch it.
I mean, we're tapping into psychology here. Do you want to be important and moving, or do you want to be famous? Because you can do both, but one is easier than the other.
Right? I don't know, man. Like I was telling you before, I want people to listen to our podcast, maybe have a little bit of a laugh,
Think about some shit, look up some stuff.
Learn, and laugh. Yeah.
Maybe get offended enough to learn. Yeah.
And stop watching any of the fucking screens that are out there. Like, put your screens down.
No, they can't. How can they watch our YouTube channel and have us get more income if they're not watching their screen? Okay, put the YouTube channel on, play YouTube, but the podcast, but just let your phone.
As you're hiking, go to Spotify.com, which is the greatest podcasting source ever, and listen to our podcast as you're enjoying the bees floating in nature and pollinating everything. Save the bees, save the world. Listen to our podcast.
Also watch it on YouTube.
Oh man, we're gonna have to go off mics, but remind me, off mics.
You sure? This sounds juicy. I don't want to go off mics. Maybe they don't want us to go off mics.
Well, it was just kind of like a behind the curtain, Oz behind the curtain kind of a thing. Okay. So Ray said that he would edit the videos together in a way that I wanted him to edit the videos, because the picture that we have on the podcast, I wanted him to take that art style and put my voice to the skull and your voice to the wolf and kind of do a jib-jab thing as the entertaining aspect on YouTube. Because if you're not on YouTube, you're not going to reach people, period.
It's just more entertaining. Like, I love watching people's podcasts. They're just talking. It's the same thing of, like, watching radio. It's why Howard Stern was so popular.
Yes, when you watch it, you get to see the facial expressions. You get to see all the subtle nuances. Like, Andrew Huberman, perfect example. Have you heard of Andrew Huberman? Have you seen this dude? This dude is my new hero, up and coming. Okay. He's affiliated with Stanford as a professor of neurology, something like that. Something in that field. He's very scientific minded, right? Yeah. And he's telling people and talking to people, and he'll be in a black background with a black shirt, so it'll be his hands in his head, and he'll be talking about whatever the topic of the day is. I've been inspired so much that I went and I found his podcast on Spotify, which is the greatest place for podcasts ever. And the first podcast that I listened to this guy is him and David Goggins about the mindset of David Goggins. And I'm like, oh my God, that is me. Anyway.
Nice.
Sidebar. So you get the algorithm up and you start listening to all this. Yeah, they are. The cops are on the roof.
Why the cops are on the roof of this business?
Who knows? Because that business probably got broken in through the roof. It wouldn't be the first time. Anyway, Andrew Huberman comes up in my reels now. Right? Because that's how the algorithm chases it.
Yeah.
And that dude is cut and buff and 50. And I'm like, fuck, if this guy is staying to do these things, you should probably listen to him, because just how he lives his life. Cut, buff, podcast, millionaire, etc. You're going to have a hero. Goals. Yeah, you're going to have a hero to look up to it. You may as well walk in the shoes of somebody who is doing it. Not one of these dudes who's just out there talking out their ass on some podcast called Toast of the Weird as of this moment.
Shush up.
I'm talking about me, man.
Exactly. Don't discredit yourself. If you want to be in self-deprecation humor, I get that, but it's a time and a place.
Yeah, but anyway, I highly recommend Andrew Huberman's stuff. It's all together. Like, the way that he goes and talks about subjects and the way that he lives his life proves that he's one of those individuals that is living an authentic self kind of mindset mentality and should at least be listened to. If you give him the time of day, go listen to his stuff. But on his podcast, he spends 8 minutes promoting his products. So the first 8 minutes you could skip out and then, listen to the podcast unless you want to listen to what he really is supporting. There was like a French press that he supported and some...
I was thinking, actually, I wanted to actually... I was going to get with you, actually, because I saw something... hold on. Because I saw something last night that I thought about getting, and I thought about all the stuff that we've talked about. So, again, if we eventually ever get big enough to have sponsors, one, I would like to have, like, a moment where we're like, hey, I would love you to sponsor us, but we actually just, have this, and I think it's cool anyway, kind of thing. Well, maybe they would sponsor us, kind of thing.
Once we get 100 listeners, we can tell everybody how great Spotify has been for us.
Well, what I mean is, like, there's these Japanese snack boxes. I've always wanted to get one of them, right?
Oh, the bento box? Or is that what it is?
I can't remember the name. I don't want to butcher it, but I saw different manufacturers. A couple of them came up. Another one came up, and I was looking at it. I was like, I should get one of these. But I was like, you know what? I think this would be good, something we could do to, like, just randomly showcase shit. And maybe if it, like, it's like back in the day when you, I can't remember, like, if you randomly had a Doritos bag in your shit, sometimes the company would send you product or whatever, right, kind of thing. That's how these sponsorships started originally.
Oh, okay.
So perhaps, again, if we just review or mention stuff that we actually do like, instead of it being some cheesy, corny, we just got money.
Honest reviews.
Maybe we could, And again,
do the Wayne's World thing. Like, the suck cut scene, have you, from that movie?
Suck cut? That's been a long time since I watched Wayne's World, but anyway, so
go watch that clip.
If eventually we do, get sponsored by, say, this Japanese snack box, like, hey, guys, you remember 6 years ago we mentioned that? We actually have been enjoying these guys for 6 years. It's for real. Go back and look. So instead of being like, try this bot program, we've been trying it for 3 years,
True. Well,
I just
often
feel better,
people can tell me about their products all that they want to, but I don't buy into it unless I've used it, seen it, and had the quality myself.
How are you going to buy into it if someone doesn't recommend it? There's tons of shit out there. There's so much stuff that you wouldn't know. And again, like, if you give me two things, they're both basically the same shit. good advertisement, but one was recommended by someone.
Yeah,
I'll try that one.
That's true.
So again, like I just want to be on the thing that if we recommend something, it's hey, we looked into it. We've never tried them before, but they seem good.
Hi, can I get a protein power pack?
Hi, can I have a 1 bag, a hot tea Earl Grey, and a peppermint fudge Pop-Tart?
Sure. What size did you want that to be?
16 ounce.
16 ounce? The Earl Grey, nothing in there? Cool. And a Pop-Tart and a protein power pack, yeah? Cool.
Thank you.
Finally efficient.
I'm sorry, I don't have any Pop-Tarts.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. My favorite thing, too.
Do you have a Winterberry turnover? I just want to try them. I'm trying stuff. No, thank you. That's okay. It's okay. Ooh, wait. Next time I'll try she did say coffee cake. It's a blueberry coffee cake. I'll try that.
What did they have? The jalapeno croissant or whatever?
She said, she said coffee cake. I didn't realize it was blueberry. And then it was, the jalapeno cheddar croissant. It's okay. That peppermint fudge Pop-Tart is probably going to be banging every time I try to get it. She's like, nope, son.
We're talking about sponsorships and stuff that we've actually used here at Coffee Times in Tucson, Arizona. We absolutely love their products.
Yes, very locally owned. Right here on Speedway and the
It's in the middle
Jones
of Speedway
Boulevard. Locally family-run business.
There you go.
CoffeeTimesTucson.com since 1999.
You found us. Congratulations. The people out there that find people on the internet just based off a picture. Have you seen that? That stuff is fascinating. The FBI hired that guy who was doing that on YouTube. He'd be like, judging by the shade of this leaf and this leaf structure, this is going to be either in the high desert, and due to the trajectory of the sun, I know that it's in the northern hemisphere, not the southern hemisphere. Like,
yeah, that
stuff goes deep.
Yeah, and he's like, I just did it for a hobby. Now I got governmental clearance.
Right? All right.
Yeah, that's like back in the day, the rumors of like, some of the first, or video games and getting... Oh, sorry.
Payment, not an order taking. I'm gonna pause it. This is a lot of dead. I just wanted to come out and apologize to everybody. The last 15 minutes of our podcast wasn't actually recorded, and there was some real comedy gold in there talking about masturbating and all that stuff. Dan, the Weird Wolf, actually did a spit take. I had him to do that. That was amazing. So my apologies to Dan for missing that and not pushing the correct button. So, yeah, with all that, stay weird. Cheers.